Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Natalie's Nuggets. This is number 18. Today, I would like to invite you to a setting. It will be Friday, April 25th, 2025 through Saturday, the 26th, 2025. As many of you know, I do a lot of inner healing and deliverance. And what I will be hosting in New Hampshire is a deliverance training setting. If you feel called to enter into the ministry of deliverance, I invite you to reach out to me and let me know if you would like to attend. Lunch will be provided for Saturday, and you will also get a deliverance manual with that as well. If you've already had the training with me, you'll have a discounted price. Otherwise, it'll be $50. So it'll be all-day training on Saturday as well as the Friday evening. Now you might be asking, well, what are we going to be doing? In the manual, we're going to go over some basics like what is deliverance. We're going to go through the body, soul, and spirit, how that interacts. We have three parts to our being. Our mind, our will, and our emotions make up our soul. We have our physical body, and then we have our spirit man. So we'll be talking how those all interact and how strongholds are built and established. We also go through what is necessary if you are feeling called to be a minister in the area of deliverance. What are some of the qualifications necessary to participate? We want to make sure that nobody is being harassed unduly so. That's important. We want to make sure that there's prayer coverage over you, the people that you're working with. That's important. Authority in the spirit realm is necessary to be established so that there is no kickback from the enemy. We want to ask, what is demonic harassment? What does demonic harassment look like? Matthew 16:22 through 23 is an example where somebody's mind is being influenced by a demonic entity. It can also influence your body. Example, Matthew 9:32 through 33. Their physical body can be harassed. It can influence our actions, and there's others that we want to take a look at. And what do we do when that harassing spirit is present? What does a victorious life look like versus one who's walking in the flesh? These can be open doors where a demonic entity can have access to somebody. Now, a Christian cannot be possessed by the enemy. We're going to go through scriptures to evaluate where somebody is at. Sometimes these entities come in because we personally opened up a door, access to an entity in the spirit realm. Other times it has nothing to do with our personal experiences. Could be a familiar spirit that was passed down through the generations, or perhaps you are a victim of somebody's violation, and that could be an open door which has caused trauma and an entity to harass and oppress somebody. Habitual sins, sexual perversions, pornography, being involved in the occult and entities other than Christ, cult involvements, anti-Christian environments. These are all entry points that can be the root of why somebody needs deliverance. If you have any bondages to drugs, any addictions, there could be a spiritual realm attached to that we can address spiritually that the secular world does not know how to do. Unforgiveness, that's really key. So we're going to be going through examples of how that oppression can begin, why it remains, How do we get rid of it? And things such as that. So what does it mean? How do you know if you're called? Well, I did not know anything about demons and harassment and things like that. And I have a pretty clean background, but God did call me in the early years of my 30s. And since then, I've been trained, called, and I operate in that. But my role now is more to train up people. I do a little of that. But it's really important that you have a lifestyle, kingdom lifestyle full of humility, obedience, faithfulness, free from the desire to recognize. I don't advertise these things typically, but by word of mouth, people find me, and then we set up appointments. We've done group settings and we've done individual one-on-one, so I can help train you in those areas. It's also important that you receive ministry yourself before stepping out, and because of all the encounters you may have, it may be necessary to periodically do a check-in of yourself, make sure there's nothing hanging out that may be attached while you were ministering. Again, godly lifestyles, spirits, having a spirit of unforgiveness, releasing forgiveness when you encounter your own hurts. And you really need a heart of compassion. I provide safe, godly settings, not to embarrass or humiliate anybody. So we talk about how to steward the environment when you are working with individuals needing deliverance and inner healing. Now, mind you, inner healing is, 85% of a good deliverance involves inner healing and forgiveness issues. It's usually when something does not leave, when you're casting it out, we have to resort back and explore, is there any hidden trauma, hurts, unforgiveness that the individual has to receive inner healing before we can find victory in the deliverance. So I usually take a lot of time with truth encounters, with the scriptures, and we go over things such as that. You never do this alone. You always work in teams. I feel that's important. I give you worksheets, how to invite somebody into the setting and gather information before you actually begin if you have an appointment. Sometimes we're on the spot at an altar and we just have to suddenly minister. So once you get comfortable with knowing the ins and outs of deliverance, you should be able to address things spontaneously should they arise. I love creating a peaceful environment, establishing trust between me and the individual I'm working with. It can be very key. It should be private, no distractions like phones. These are just things to be aware of and to put into place while you're doing ministry. I have prayers to pray over with you and your team before the person arrives. We talk about group ministry, having team members qualified and ready to assist you. We talk about guidelines for prophetic ministry. Always ask permission before we lay hands on people. So there's a team makeup provides many of the gifts of the Holy Spirit to flow through a team, which can be very beneficial for you if you're leading a deliverance session with an individual or with groups of people. So the manual has a lot of information for you. There's a lot of tools that we can draw from, and I provide a lot of those tools. Let's say you're in the inner healing with somebody. You may be needing to identify feelings. This is the emotion wheel. So tools like that I provide in the manual that you will have access to after you receive the training. Talk about curses. What's the difference between a curse and harassment? And then once we get the background laid out, that's when we talk about, well, how do you begin? We go over soul ties. Soul ties is not just sexual encounters somebody's had with a person. It could with a person, place, or thing. We identified patterns, generational patterns in a family's bloodline. We gather the surnames of an individual on both sides of the family. And again, it's a structure that is safe, that produces fruit, and also produces a safe setting for you and the individual so that nothing gets out of hand. We don't have power encounters, although you have the authority with the voice. You tell something, leave, it must leave. So I equip you with those kinds of aspects to have a successful deliverance setting. So I hope you join me. Reach out to me at Kainos, Kainos, FCC@gmail.com. That will be coming at the end of April. And it will be in New Hampshire, near Concord, which is the capital. So I pray that if you're able to, you can secure a hotel in time because it is a 2-day session. Friday night, most likely 7 to 9 p.m. Saturday, 9 to 4, maybe 10 to 5, so that we have enough time to go through the manual, time for questions and answers, and also time to probably minister deliverance at the setting. So we will have hands-on opportunities. And we talk about what are the manifestations if you do encounter a demonic that manifests, how to shut it down, how to bring people back into play if all of a sudden they zone out, maybe they can't talk. These are potential possibilities when you're working with somebody, and I want you to be equipped and ready to know what to do with it if you encounter that. And we also want to know the difference of when somebody is disassociating. That's usually a God-given reaction to trauma, and that could potentially take place in unique circumstances. I have encountered that, and it's something that you discern, but those are probably unusual unless you're called to deliverance at a deep level, not just one time here, one time there. That will be something that would be important for you to discern, know how to distinguish, and know how to not cause more damage to an individual. We also talk about how to keep those doors from reopening, how to maintain your freedom. That is also part of the session, keeping people free from reoccurring issues, strongholds, things like maintaining a healthy spiritual life, taking responsibility for one's thought life, forgiveness as a lifestyle, kingdom lifestyle. Maybe there's things that you have to make restitution with others, listening to the Holy Spirit, what he wants an individual to do. And there may be areas of your life that you have to change your lifestyle to keep it clean and free. What do you do if somebody falls or takes a back step? By the time you work with them, you should have been able to give them tools for them to do self-deliverance. And if they need necessary backup, they can circle back around to you and your team. I always like to bring communion into play at the very end of a deliverance session, and gather testimonies. Testimonies can speak to newcomers, and you can draw on that. The testimony can be quite encouraging to those who may not have their full freedom established yet. So Kainos, FCC@gmail.com, Kainos, F as in Frank, C as in cat, @gmail.com. Reach out to us on Messenger, Facebook, and I will get you a registration list. Looking forward to seeing you. God bless you. Bye-bye.